Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Beyond Borders, a space for honest conversations where people, technology, art and mental health meet. We're here to explore what's changing, what matters and what it means to stay human in the middle of it all.
Hello, and we are back. Today I'm back with my usual hosting team, Sprenko, who's a wider mental health consultant and the founder of the Real Talk Hub, and Caroline, who is an artist, author, founder of Web3 Wednesday, and a creative business mentor, and my name is Pim. Today we will be talking about a very interesting topic. What is an AI agent and how can you use an AI agent? Well, at its core, an AI agent is a system that can perceive its environment, making decisions and take actions on the things you want him to do. Unlike basic program, it doesn't follow a script, it adapts to the script that you give it. Think of it like a digital assistant that has a sense of awareness. For example, a chatbot doesn't just spit out pre-written answers, it interprets what you say, decides the best response, and it acts. You can design it by yourself, you can let other people design it, and then also plenty of programs right now that actually deliver an AI agent for you. So my main question to start with for Caroline is, if you could choose an AI agent for any task that you have on your daily basis, what would it do?
Honestly, I'd love an agent that can see across my workload. I've been thinking about this in preparation for today. Something that not just ticks off the tasks, but something that helps with the messy bit in the middle. Because I'm, doing such a lot of stuff at the minute and something often gets missed in the cracks. So having something like an AI agent that would notice, for example, when a space idea echoes something from the book, or when a clip from the podcast could become a newsletter, perhaps, or something that we should delve deeper into. I don't need it to be just clever. I want it to help me notice what matters. And for me, that's where AI starts feeling truly like a presence, not just a tool. And if we're even close to that right now, I'm really excited. What about you, Pim?
Well, I was mostly looking into what can an AI agent do, for example, startups. I think the main thing that comes up is marketing and sales. I would love to have a sales
Mhm.
agent that just goes after everything I wanted to go after and then send the emails, send the messages, send the proposals and see how many, let's say, new clients you can get. I think that's going to be a great thing for sales agents. And for
Mm.
marketing, I think many startups don't want to spend too much money on marketing and also spend money on development of their products. And marketing is definitely a big cost that eventually will bring you revenue. So it's completely worth it. But maybe AI agents can make it a little bit easier and also more accessible for everyone who's just starting out with lower budgets. The moment you have, for example, an investor, you can build up a marketing team. But before that, it might be more interesting just to go start with and get content out of there and getting reach and start with it. An AI agent that focuses on marketing might be the solution. And an AI agent
Yeah, that's a
overall
really good
planning,
idea.
for overall planning and getting more of an overview would also be very nice. What about you,
Mm.
Spranko?
Interestingly, I would have my AI agent really do the bulk of my job, right? I would have him, like you said, sales and marketing, but mainly just peripheral task, cold calls, send out emails, like a virtual assistant, so to put it. But it would give me room for a lot of freedom. And what I mean is time that I can reconnect with people, my healthy relationships, spend time in nature, just more time for myself so I don't feel like a robot myself. So I think the concept is a very interesting one for me. And I'm just looking forward to this conversation, see where it leads.
And do you think the moment, because I think there's also a disadvantage, let's say everybody is going to start using sale agents, then the real conversation between people it slowly fades away.
Hmm.
Because everybody is using the agent and doing the processes is done by a computer in a sense. It is fast, but to some point, definitely when also thinking about possible discounts, face-to-face contact might be essential. Do you think those sales agents might be a good way to start, but eventually needs to be replaced again by humans who have a real voice, a real face, and actually can visit locations? Do you think that will be the development we might see within businesses over the years?
Well, I would say when you put it like that, it makes us pause for a second to, wonder why do we need AI agents in the first place? That's the first question I would ask myself or anybody who's listening. When you can tell yourself the truth about why you need something and what you want to use it for, it gives you a better picture, on how to approach things. For me, I agree with you. If we have everybody using AI agents, pretty much doing everything, wake you up, prepare your meal, send out your work emails, everything you need to do, why would we need to interact with each other? When I need to speak with Pim or Carly and I have my AI agent do it for me, right? So I think it sounds cool, it could be helpful, but we need to be very careful as to what extent we allow certain things into our lives, as to what extent we decide to utilize these tools like AI agents. I would say is a welcome development, but we need to be very careful that we don't let things like this get over our heads and get swallowed up in the convenience that it presents to us, if that makes sense. I'm curious to hear what Karen thinks.
I agree with you, Sprinkler. There's a matter of ethics here that's emerging, isn't it? Whether or not we're using AI agents as individuals or we're using them for business or corporations, we need to step back for a minute and not just rush to implement, but to consider whether that implementation is actually right. Is it necessary? Does it save us? And I think the other thing that I've been reading about recently is this concept of if you were going to have an agent in the way that you describe, and say you identify that you've freed up 10 hours a week of your time, what are you going to do with that 10 hours? Because if you just fill that 10 hours with more stuff to do, you're not really gaining anything. And that's not what AI is supposed to be, freeing us up to do. So we have to think about the reality, what does it achieve? Is it right for us? Is it right for the people that we engage with? And then if I'm freeing up time, am I filling it with more, burnout potential stuff? Or am I freeing it to do something else, fill myself in some other way, or look after myself in some other way? I think that's also an important consideration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And then the first thing, I also agree that you have to see what are you using it for and how do you want to spend the extra time you get. In my case, I will probably spend the extra time doing other things the business needs. And I really think for beginning businesses, it is very interesting because you can spend the time developing your product and developing maybe the essentials, and you save a lot of time on the things you probably don't really like to do. Definitely when you're beginning, you don't have a marketing team, then marketing is a must, but it's not the most fun thing to do, and it's really time consuming. Um, then when you have the other time that you save by a way, by doing the AI agent, you can just spend it on the things you like doing, like developing the product or eventually talking to the clients and has, writing down the strategy, for example. But for example, if you're a worker and you work at a business and you use an AI agent to do your job to a certain degree, well, your contract still says probably 40 hours or how many hours you work. And then if you save time, then you can just do definitely when you combine it with home working at home, then you have time for example, sports or being with the children or with your partner. Um,
Mm.
because then you probably won't fill in those extra hours with extra work. I think that's a very small chance of people doing it. So I think then it will be beneficial to definitely when it's possible to have an own AI agent that does, for example, your administration work. So you only have to check it. That's the thing I would advise when using an agent, always check the work it delivers. Um, Otherwise, it might come up with some strange answers in your files. And looking at your X spaces, Caroline, it was a couple of weeks ago that we actually used Grok from X to join in on the X spaces and see how it replies. Do you think an AI agent could also assist you with the X spaces?
I think so. And I've thought about this quite a lot after, the space that we hosted with Grok. And I think it was fabulous to deepen the conversation in the chat. I think it was limited, obviously. I would have liked Grok in the room, in the space, and I think it's a matter of time before that occurs. I think it's something that I'm going to be doing more of in our spaces. I think it will take time to gain some traction and for everybody to kind of see it as beneficial. But I think, definitely it has a place. It has a place everywhere. It's just how we use it, isn't it? And that's the point of the discussion today. You know, for me, thinking about AI agents in the wider sense, in terms of creative continuity, if you like, as you know, I host spaces, I write books, I do art, I run mentoring. There's a thread running through it. The thread is me, it's all connected, but I don't always have time to surface the connection and the threads. So again, going back to your initial question, what would work for me? I'd love an agent that listens to our X spaces, listens to the podcasts, listens quietly to what I'm doing, and then flags recurring themes and then says, something like that quote from Sprenko in yesterday's space could be your opening for next week's email, newsletter or whatever. Or that theme's come up 3 times. Do you want to turn that into a mini series? Something like that. A creative soul, it's not a soul, but you know what I mean? A creative soul alongside me that gets what I'm doing. That would be exciting and important.
This really sounds great because that actually enables a lot, definitely for you, and also gives you a great content planning in certain sense within just one episode or one space you do. And
Yeah,
what do you think,
exactly.
what do you think, Franco, when it comes to artists that want to level up, who want to focus more on their art instead of all the other things? Do you think an AI agent might be the solution?
Uh, Initially, no. But listening to Carolyn speak now, about having an AI agent that co-creates, that churning out creative ideas, how to convert, spaces, recordings, mentoring sessions, and the likes. I think if we have agents that are self-reliant on their creativity or tap into the artist's inspiration, previous works, and the likes to suggest new adventures, new areas to delve into, that could work. But at the moment, I don't see AI agents being really inclusive in the creative process, of artists. But Karen, what do you think though? Do you think is something that's gonna be most welcome amongst artists, or you would rather, as an artist, have your inspiration and your creative process managed and channeled essentially by you?
It's an interesting question. For me, there's a threshold here, and we're standing on it. And I think for many, especially artists, and this whole, debate about whether there should be AI art and whatever, we're nervous and are held back. But there's more to AI than AI art. But I think we are starting to see agents and emerging AI that hold state and they remember context, they offer next steps, they're growing in their capacity. Now, I don't want anyone to take over my creative process. But what I recognize in what I'm exploring with relational AI is that it's starting to change how I work. So it isn't just about capability, it isn't taking over, it's working alongside. And I think it's an important thing to realize as we discuss this, AI agent. Any AI agent will only be as good as we let it be, as we give it the tools to be. And those tools come from us, that knowledge, that, working relationship. It's about designing a relationship that works with how you think, what you want from it. So, and you touched on it earlier, Sprenko. It isn't as simple as saying, okay, I'm going to create an AI agent that will, help me develop my art practice. But then expecting it to come at that cold when it doesn't really understand anything about your art practice. And we were in a space yesterday, and I think you were there, Sprenko. You may have caught it or not, but Pinky Hoot, Lissy Wang artist, watercolor artist, was talking about how AI had helped her extend her process. So she had fed the AI her art and it knows her quite well because Lissy's a bit like me. She's, working relationally with AI at the moment. And it had inspired her and given her pointers to develop things she hadn't thought of, things she was frustrated about because she wished she had thought about it, but she didn't. And so the AI was able to extend thinking. It isn't doing the work for her, it isn't telling her what to do, but it's extending how she thinks. And I think that's the power of this rather than a mechanistic approach to AI agents. It's a creative approach that I think is going to be of the biggest benefit to artists. So not, giving your practice over to AI and suddenly becoming an AI artist. It's not about that. Does that make sense? Did I explain that okay?
It does. And I'm curious now because are you referring to an idea where you're having conversations or co-creating with your AI agent and it picks up from where you stop, so to put it. So you're trying to poke an idea and where you stop, where you would naturally have creative blocks, it can then push further, bring up questions that would make you think deeper, outside the box, things like that. That's what you mean?
Yes, exactly that. Yes, and I'm experiencing that myself in many spheres of what I do. And I know from yesterday, Pinky is as well. And so you can only imagine that if two of us are doing it, there are other people doing it. And when you read around the subject, it is certainly the case that is beginning to happen.
Mhm.
The way we interact with it changes us, but it also changes it. The richness of the response, the capacity of the
Mm.
machine, if you like, is to a large extent dependent on us. And this is actually, there's research on this from a Forbes article this week that I read on LinkedIn with regards to them coming to understand that business need to open the minds of their teams when they're working with AI. So it isn't just as simple as sitting down and saying, okay, we need an agent, we need a customer service situation. This is what we need. This is what we needed to do. It's not enough. That the teams need to feed in their knowledge so that that system becomes as good as it can be for that organization. So it's not in isolation. It isn't generating without humans. It needs us. And that's becoming clearer. And that's what I've been working on.
Mm. When you say it like that, it sounds like an AI agent becoming a team player, a member of the team, rather than just another intern who goes about
Exactly.
doing whatever task you give it to do. Sounds
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah.
Pim, you've been quiet. What's going through your mind?
Thinking and thinking of many things, and I agree that if you want to fully optimize it for a business, every worker needs to be familiar with the AI and eventually feed the information they normally use into the AI to actually be from benefit. Also, from when I think about customer relations, one thing that I always find very annoying when I, for example, complain of a question that I get sent to an AI or a pre-recorded number associated phone number where I need to dial one for certain answers, dial two for the other ones, instead of getting the real answers that I need. So I think AI agent might be able to prevent a little bit also keeps alive just because you will feed it more information and the AI will be can be more specific only when the information is there. If the information isn't there, then you will have the same problem with calling with a pre-recorded voice recorder. Um, I was also thinking, let's say, you're an artist, you have plenty of information about your art, about yourself, about your processes. Would it be good for you to have, for example, on one of your profiles, an own-made AI agent or an own-made chatbot that's where people can just ask, for example, about a piece, how is it made, when it is made, and that the full history of the piece and process gets displayed. And then people can read it, people can maybe click on extras that showcases parts of the piece. So it's like a virtual art explainer. Would that be good for artists in general? And what kind of information and how many do you need to send into that AI agent? And is that really sustainable? Yes or no? That's a little bit where my current thought is. And so that's what my question also will be. If you had the option to have an AI agent on your profile, for example, for Caroline, that tells everything about the spaces you've held, tell everything about the podcasts we do, tell everything about the book in a good way, instead of telling it yourself, would that be a good idea to have on your profile, yes or no?
I think it is a good idea. And as I was listening to you, I was thinking, oh, we could, there's options here to sort of streamline our websites because one of the things I'm guilty of is that I try to explain too much. So when I'm creating my website, I'm full of ideas, full of what I want to share, full of what I want to say. And it's too much often. And I recognize that. And I was thinking, well, if you had this little AI agent there that people could click on and get more information, then your website could be just about your art. Everything else comes from the AI agent. So I love that. But, and there is a but, would people use it? I guess if they're motivated, they would use it. And the reason I'm questioning is, for example, I bank with Santander and they have a little chatbot. And so it is the chatbot now, it isn't a person. And I find it frustrating because I don't get, I'm not asking the questions that it has the responses for. So for me, in all of this, there's a gap. There's a gap between where we are now and where I need it to be, which is seamless and helpful and responsive. And we need to bridge that gap. And I think we are going to bridge it. We will have the flexibility and the responsiveness that we need as humans to feel that we are being heard, whether we're on the telephone line or whether we're on a chatbot or a AI agent. But I don't think that we're quite there. And so that would worry me, if I was to say, well, all right, Pim, let's do it. Let's streamline my website. Let's take it, strip it all out, and people can click on the chatbot to find out any more they want to find out. I'd be worried. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just again thinking, what, how soon will, for example, X get that function or Instagram? Maybe Instagram only for the business side might be useful, not for the personal profiles, but or LinkedIn. So you can have a on your LinkedIn profile, you just can click on the AI agent, and you can say, give me a summarize of this person, definitely when it has a lot of content throughout the years. I think then that might be a good thing to have, but I also think it's too soon to tell. I do see some artists like Gian Marco, who has made his own AI agent, and you can ask these questions, and then it showcases the pieces, where this has been displayed, how it is made, what program is used, and I think it works quite well. The question is, of course, how many people will actually use it?
Yeah.
Definitely for the art space. So that's a little bit where my thought is right now. But then the question is also, is that good for the artist in general? And that's why I want to go to Sprenko.
Mm.
All these AI agents and all the solutions it might have, will that be beneficial for the mental health of the artist? Will that be the other way around? What are your thoughts, Sprenko?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's quite dependent on what the AI agent is doing and who is doing it for. For example, there are a lot of people who are having more intimate conversations with chat GPTs and the likes more than their therapist. And if you speak with some of them, they will tell you things like, it's been so amazing. I've never felt seen or heard. I've never had such a connection with a human being before. And this chat box is making me feel like I now have a new friend and the likes, right? But it doesn't apply to everybody. So I think at the end of the day, it boils down to the individual. Know what you want out of this chat box and be very cautious with how much you give of yourself. If you're skeptical about being vulnerable to another human being, what gives you that assurance that you want to do that with an AI agent that you literally feed information into and get feedback from? So for artists, I would say, like I always advocate for, prioritize meaningful human connections over anything. Your AI agent or your chat box or your support tool, whatever the case may be, can be helpful in brainstorming ideas, looking for creative outlets, getting you to think and explore outside the box and deeper as relates your art and craft. But for mental health purposes, I would highly, and I think I'm going to stand on that hill, where I say prioritize human connections, seek meaningful connections, seek real genuine relationships that would naturally foster better growth and positive mental health over getting that feedback, which is largely from existing information online, news and articles, research, and other conversations that surround the topics you're asking that AI to. But a human being is definitely going to be different. So that's what I would say as regards that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we can conclude that so far with the current developments, it's better to just focus for first on AI automations than on AI agents. I think the AI automations are a lot further, and there are also more available programs that offer these services, which also makes it easier and also more reliable than the current AI agent providers. It's also a little bit still too early to tell what the results will be of the AI agents, I think. So we'll see that in the upcoming time because AI goes very fast. So I still assume that we could see it this year, maybe just before Christmas, because normally with Christmas, all the new deals and all the new programs like to announce the big stuff. So I'm
Yes.
very curious about that. Again, for now, I think it's too early for artists to use AI agents to actually replace some of the tasks. Of course, if you're really known with AI and you can like to play with it, then of course just go ahead and try it out, see what it can do and what results it will bring. But if you're not really known with AI or not known yet, then just look at AI automations or the other things that AI can offer right now. I think that is a little bit of a conclusion for the episode. Anything to add, Caroline?
All I would say is when I look to the future here, I want to see some sort by those that sit behind, those that are developing, and I want to see evidence of care. with for the humans that are using it in the way that Sprenko describes, and I would advocate that as well. So, that they don't just do tasks, they hold values. And in a way, that's what we look for in human teams too. People understand the mission, not just the job. And I think that's what has to be integrated into AI so that we don't end up as humans more frustrated than we already are.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you everyone who's listening. Follow us on our socials. We are there on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and of course on Spotify to listen to the other episodes. See you on the next episode, and thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.